One accusation changed everything. One creator went from trusted to controversial almost overnight. And here's the thing, to this day, people still argue about whether this accusation was justified or was a huge mistake. Hypercrystal was an animator associated with the object show community, particularly content inspired by the BFDI style.
Draw Hornet from Hollow Knight. I love Hollow Knight, but I'm not gonna draw Hornet, okay? Please play My Teardrop. Yeah, I've seen this game. It looks kind of cool.
This community revolves around creative storytelling using animated objects as characters, and over time, it's grown into a large, competitive space filled with young creators and equally young audiences. Hypercrystal gained popularity quickly and was seen as a promising figure within that space, building a following that trusted his voice and perspective. That trust was shaken in 2023 when Hyper publicly accused another creator, Odyssey 10, of grooming. So,
hold up. Oh, wait. Oh my god.
According to Hyper, he has been told by a close friend named Miles Doodle Art that Odyssey had engaged in inappropriate behavior. Taking that claim at face value, Hyper documented the accusations in a public document and released it to his audience, effectively calling for Odyssey to be exposed and rejected by the community. The response was immediate, but not in the way Hyper expected. Odyssey released a detailed rebuttal video explaining that many of the claims were based on misunderstandings, assumptions, or incomplete information. He pointed out that some accusations relied on private voice conversations that Hyper had never been a part of, and that no recordings ever existed to support the narrative being presented. One of the most serious accusations involved a message Hyper described as predatory. Odyssey responded by explaining that the message reflected frustration with his own life progress and mental health struggles, rather than any intent to manipulate or exploit someone. While this explanation didn't excuse poor judgment or inappropriate emotional boundaries, it reframed the message in a way that challenged Hyper's interpretation. Odyssey admitted he wasn't to blame, acknowledging that he had a pattern of trauma dumping and emotionally venting to others, which is still inappropriate regardless of intent. However, boundary violations and grooming are not the same accusation, and the distinction is critical, especially when reputations and safety are involved. As the situation unfolded, additional issues emerged with Hyper's conduct. He reportedly responded rudely in private messages and avoided direct communication when people attempted to clarify details or seek further explanation. This silence and defensiveness made the accusations appear less credible and caused public opinion to shift rapidly against them. A major source of backlash was Hyper's use of the term grooming, a word with severe implications. Odyssey pushed back, stating he's asexual and aromantic, and that the accusation didn't align with his actions. Although Hyper later clarified he meant non-sexual grooming, the damage was already done due to the term's heavy connotations.
Utterly false, and many other misconstrued and baseless allegations against Odyssey. Miles was my best friend during this time, and hearing these allegations coming from someone I consider my best friend, I didn't think to doubt anything he was saying. Knowing that I had a platform I could use to spread awareness, under the belief creating and sharing a document.
Hyper eventually stepped away from his channel, with many fans viewing him as overwhelmed rather than malicious. He later returned with an accountability video, admitting he acted irresponsibly, misunderstood the severity of the accusation, and expressing regret for his behavior. The apology stood out because it avoided common deflection tactics. Hyper didn't blame his audience, deny wrongdoing, or minimize the harm caused. He openly stated that his behavior was wrong and said he didn't expect forgiveness. This response softened some criticism, though it didn't erase the consequences. Another important detail is that Hyper was reportedly only 15 years old at the time of the accusations. While age doesn't excuse reckless actions, it does help explain how emotional loyalty, misinformation, and pressure can lead a young creator to make decisions far beyond their ability to handle responsibly. There are also unconfirmed claims suggesting manipulation from others involved, though these remain speculative. In the end, Hyper's channel survived, but his rep never fully recovered. Some viewers accepted his accountability, while others permanently withdrew their trust. This case shows how quickly admiration can turn into anger when accusations are mishandled, and even how sincere apologies cannot fully reverse public damage. The second case wasn't about accusations at all. It was about ambition, money, and how fast trust can disappear in the animation community.
Hi guys, today we are reading the
Bip, what are you doing on my lap? Oh, dude, chill! What's that?
Gibthom was an animator who experienced one of the fastest growth spikes seen in the animation community. In a matter of months, his subscriber count skyrocketed, placing him in a position many creators dream of reaching. With that growth came attention, opportunity, and pressure, especially from outside interests seeking to capitalize on his audience. According to the available information, Gibthom publicly promoted a cryptocurrency project that was directly tied to his personal brand. While the announcement may have been intended as an opportunity or expansion beyond animation, it immediately raised red flags among the viewers. The internet has a long and well-documented history of creator-driven crypto projects ending in controversy, rug pulls, or financial losses for fans, and audiences were quick to connect the situation to those past failures.
Whoa, indeed.
Many viewers felt blindsided by the promotion. They followed Gibthom for his animation content, humor, and storytelling, not for financial advice or speculative investment opportunities. The sudden shift from creative content to cryptocurrency promotion created a sense of mistrust, as fans questioned why a creator with no known background in finance was encouraging involvement in such a high-risk space.
Gib, look at this! Someone just sent me a full Bitcoin!
Whoa, what the? Me too? Wait, it's not a Bitcoin, it's Bipcoin? Did you make a cryptocurrency?
The announcement failed to address these concerns. It was vague, lacked transparency, and provided little detail about how the project worked or who was behind it, reinforcing the fears that audience trust was being exploited for financial gain. The backlash was swift and intense. Comment sections filled with skepticism and scam accusations, driven less by the cryptocurrency itself and more by the perceived breach of trust and lack of accountability. Gibthom later released a video explaining his perspective, stating that his management and a crypto team had pushed him into the deal. He admitted he understood very little about cryptocurrency and described himself as becoming a passive participant while decisions were made around him. He also claimed he was promised unrealistic growth and success, including massive subscriber increases. However, audiences weren't convinced. Regardless of external pressure, the creator remains responsible for what they promote. Viewers trust creators, not their managers, and when that trust is violated, explanations often feel insufficient. The contradiction claiming pressure while defending the intentions of the crypto team further weakened his credibility. If the deal truly served the audience, there would have been no need to rush or pressure participation. And according to the narrative, the crypto project quickly collapsed, and Gibthom's channel suffered lasting consequences. His view counts dropped, long-form uploads slowed, and his reputation became permanently associated with the controversy. This case highlights how quickly greed or poor judgment can undo years of potential success. This next one hits different. Here, controversy wasn't a mistake. It was the content.
A toy on Christmas Day. Meow just wants you for Meow's own. More than you could ever know. Make Meows with
Meowba is described as a creator who repeatedly pushes boundaries to provoke outrage. Her online presence includes a long history of inflammatory language, offensive behavior, and identity-related performances that many viewers interpret as mockery rather than expression. Unlike the previous cases, controversy appears central to her brand rather than accidental. One of the most disturbing moments came when explicit content was circulated that directly referenced the death of another creator, Technoblade, shortly after his passing. For many viewers, this crossed a moral boundary that should never have been approached, let alone exploited. Technoblade's death was still fresh, and his community was actively grieving. Turning that loss into shock content was widely seen as cruel, disrespectful, and opportunistic, an example of tragedy being repurposed purely for attention. What may have been defended as dark humor by some was overwhelmingly interpreted by audiences as exploitation of a real person's death for clicks. This incident didn't exist in isolation, however, including the use of NSFW content involving public figures and other creators who had only recently turned 18. While such content may have been technically legal, legality did little to quiet the ethical concerns raised by viewers. Many felt that deliberately pushing content to the edge of acceptability, especially involving individuals barely above the age threshold, was irresponsible and predatory in tone. The repeated nature of these decisions suggested that this wasn't accidental poor judgment, but a calculated pattern of provocation. Over time, this pattern became increasingly clear. Shock wasn't a side effect, it was a strategy. Each controversy generated waves of reaction content, criticism, and condemnation. Ironically, this backlash only amplified visibility. Hate watching became common, reaction videos multiplied, and social media discourse kept the creator constantly trending. In the modern attention economy, outrage functions as fuel, and engagement, regardless of whether it's positive or negative, translates directly into profit. Under this model, being widely disliked can be more financially rewarding than being widely respected. For years, Cryaotic was one of the most loved creators in the animation-adjacent YouTube space, until the allegations came out.
I'm gonna give him little frills.
Okay.
And a heart.
Finishing touches. Yeah.
Done.
You know who you just drew?
No.
PewDiePie.
Shut the fuck up.
His illustrated videos, emotional storytelling, and calm personality built a deep bond with his audience. Viewers trusted him, supported his projects, and believed they understood the person behind the content. That trust was the foundation of his success. Everything changed when allegations surfaced involving inappropriate behavior and manipulation within his private relationships and community. As these accusations began circling publicly, fans waited for a clear response. Instead, they were met with confusion, long delays, and eventually silence.
Disingenuine because I was never open with people about things, because I was always hiding things. I was never able to be genuine with people anymore after the fact that I cheated on my girlfriend with people who I didn't realize were even underage in the first place. So yes, I'm sorry.
When Cryaotic finally addressed the situation, his response was widely seen as incomplete and evasive. Many viewers felt the statement lacked clarity, accountability, and transparency. Instead of calming concerns, it raised more questions. Shortly after, Cryaotic withdrew almost entirely from the internet, leaving his audience without closure. That silence became the turning point. In online communities, silence is rarely interpreted as a sign of neutrality. For many fans, it felt like abandonment. For critics, it looked like avoidance. Without continued communication, the narrative was shaped entirely by secondhand accounts, archived messages, and speculation. Former collaborators distanced themselves. Longtime supporters expressed disappointment rather than anger, which is often more damaging. The creator they admired didn't return to defend his legacy or explain his actions in a way that rebuilt trust. Cryaotic's case is often cited as a clear example of how silence can destroy even the strongest audience relationships. Regardless of intent, refusing to engage openly during a crisis allowed public opinion to harden permanently. Even years later, his name is no longer associated with creativity or comfort, but with unresolved controversy. Ultimately, the divide between the most loved and most hated animation channels is shaped not by creativity alone, but by how creators choose to treat trust once the spotlight is on them.